We look into the developing trends in different markets. For example, in Japan and India, we want to enforce our role in the supply chain in these global markets. And by this opportunity, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to TAITRA. For example, we have a map for electric car development, and also we have some exhibition. In the New South policy, we have electric car booth signifying the importance of our development here in this industry. And also in key leading global exhibitions, we joined and participated, show of our capabilities. And of course, this Vision 2035, this e-mobility Taiwan, I think this is a wonderful platform, a great opportunity where we can integrate the development of the industry and also the smart technology development. This is a wonderful opportunity for us to share important opinions, and we are honored to have distinguished guests from all industries. So this is really a rare and wonderful opportunity, and I hope this will be a fruitful event. Last but not the least, I hope everything goes well. All the best to everyone. Stay healthy, stay happy. Thank you very much. Thank you, dear Cynthia Chang, Director General, Bureau of Foreign Trade, MOEA. Our next speaker, let us have Chairman from TAITRA, Mr. James C.F. Huang, for opening remark. Let's welcome him with round of applause.
经济部
Cynthia Chan from Bureau of Foreign Trades, and Mr. Daos from NAIT, and distinguished guest speakers in this morning, including Mr. Jack Chen from MIH, and CK Chen from Taiwan. We have Mr. Alvers from Siemens Taiwan. We also are long-term partners with TAITRA, and Mr. Ho from Datong. He has been our important partners. And also distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Thank you everyone for attending 2035 e-mobility Taiwan, and thank you for attending this forum. First of all, I would like to inform you that this is one of our highlights in TAITRA today. We are helping our industries domestically to support e-mobilities and connect with the global markets. And this is one of the key events we are having this year. Yesterday in the morning, we launched our exhibition, an open exhibition for the next 2 days. Starting from this year, we decided to position e-mobility as our highlight services and task force. So over the whole year, we have many different events, and it all culminated to the e-mobility Taiwan's exhibitions and forum this week. We hope that we can offer different services and support to the local players in order for them to connect with the world. We also produce a roadmap for e-mobility industry in Taiwan. We have organized demo days from 89 startups from 26 countries around the world have participated in the demo day. and we selected 10 out of them from America, Canada, Israel, and Taiwan. They propose the latest business model, and they have also provided some creative ideas, and they all have their booth downstairs. We will continue to support these startups in the e-mobility developments. As we know that e-mobility will be software defined in the future, and in the process, startups will play a critical role, and that's why we are honored to have Mr. Jack Chen to be one of our jury panels for the demo day. Of course, that many automobile companies have been focusing on e-mobility in recent years. We hope to inspire startups in Taiwan to imagine and create. And of course, we hope them to connect with the world and deploy their solutions to global partners. In order to have more professionals invested into this industry, we have master classes for our executives in Taiwan. The program will start tomorrow. This program is available to companies in Taiwan, especially their executives, if they are in the e-mobility industry or they aspire to join the e-mobility industry. So we help to inform them about the latest industry developments in around the world, and so we'll get to know what is the prospect for the next 3 to 5 years, and they will get to know some of the core capabilities, technical requirements, as well as some opportunities in Europe, in America, and Japan. We need to know their needs, and in order to respond and then fit into the supply chains. And the program is full within 1 week, and it shows increasing demands and interest regarding to e-mobility in Taiwan. So we have the e-mobility show downstairs. We produce a roadmap. We have an executive programs. We also have demo day, as I have mentioned before. These efforts are all aimed to support companies in Taiwan, and we hope to connect them to the world. In the forum today, we have distinguished speakers. In the morning, we have 5 different distinguished speakers. They have been the top performers, important players in the industry, from system integration, semiconductors, components, to software. They can talk about the latest developments, and they will also give us some of their insights. I am certain that this forum will be very useful and practical to all the companies aspiring to join this industry. So I would like to thank our distinguished speakers this morning. Later this afternoon, we will have other speakers as well that focus on different aspects in the market. We have speakers from Kingwood Tech, we have speakers from Microsoft, as well as Optimal. They will talk about their latest observations regarding to e-mobility markets and some of their experiences as well. I believe that this whole forum, with all these distinguished guest speakers, we will learn a lot, and we will get to see some of the future prospects. TAITRA will continue to invest In these efforts that I have mentioned, we will further accelerate the ecosystem in Taiwan and also put ourselves into the global map. We hope we can work with the local players together, and we can also bring our executives to different automobile companies around the world and get to see firsthand about the latest developments. Once again, I would like to thank all the distinguished speakers this morning and afternoon to give us their insights. And thank you everyone for attending this e-mobility forum today. I wish you good health and great success. Thank you. Thank you. As Mr. Huang had mentioned before, this is a great forum, so please stay with us. And next, I would like to invite Mr. Brent Omdal from AIT to give us a few words. Mr. Jiang, Ms. Jones, Mr. Huang, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, online and offline, good morning. I am very happy to attend this event today. I am Mr. Brent Omdal from American Institute in Taiwan.
Remarks this morning at the 2035 E-Mobility Business Forum. For those of you who might not be familiar, my organization, the U.S. Commercial Service, is the export promotion and investment attraction arm of the U.S. Department of Commerce. Our mission is to support innovative American companies, make connections in new markets around the world, while at the same time attracting high-quality investment into the United States. These activities are a critical way in which the United States seeks to deepen bilateral and multilateral trade and investment, and at the same time create resilient global supply chains with our allies and partners. I would like to thank TAITRA for being a remarkable partner to AIT. Over the years, TAITRA and AIT have collaborated on several impactful projects to promote bilateral trade and investment between the U.S. and Taiwan, thereby deepening our mutual prosperity. It's no secret that electric vehicles are replacing traditional gasoline-powered engines all over the world. In the United States, President Biden issued an executive order this past August stating his goal of making half of all new vehicles sold in the United States in 2030 electric vehicles, a decision which was supported by all of the largest U.S. automakers. President Biden also issued an executive order in January of this year on building resilient supply chains, where his team put EVs and industrial batteries as one of the top 4 industries in which the U.S. and global supply chains need to be strengthened. To respond to the administration's call to build resilient supply chains, my team and I at AIT have been working hard to encourage Taiwan companies that are part of the EV supply chain to make connections with U.S. companies and also invest in the United States, where they can extend their industrial ecosystem by leveraging the research and talent available in the United States, and at the same time, get closer to and access the massive and highly demanding U.S. market. To that point, in June of this year, my commercial team and I organized a priority track of meetings for 17 Taiwan EV supply chain companies who are considering entering and investing in the United States. As part of that event, AIT connected Taiwan EV component firms with U.S. automakers and bus makers interested in better understanding their products. And I know today's forum will be another opportunity to connect across Taiwan and the United States. We also worked very hard to introduce U.S. EV companies to the market in Taiwan. As an example of this, Tesla, which essentially laid the groundwork for its EV supply chain in Taiwan, has had tremendous success globally as a market leader. It's no secret that Taiwan relies heavily, or that Tesla relies heavily on Taiwan suppliers for many of its EV parts. We also take note that several Taiwan ICT manufacturers and associations have established the Taiwan Advanced Automotive Technology Development Association, also known as TAITRA, which I understand aims to enter the EV supply chain by setting up a cross-industry collaboration platform to facilitate the development and integration of EV products and technologies. And yet, another excellent Taiwan example is the open EV platform built by Foxconn's MIH, which is available to all partners and third-party developers to utilize as they create functional attributes and ecosystems that will support the growth of the whole EV market. We often say Taiwan can help and Taiwan does help, and when it comes to EVs, you're proving again that Taiwan has the way forward. I know that Jack Jung, the CEO of MIH, will speak today, and I'm sure he'll tell you more about the great plans MIH is undertaking. I'm also very excited that a renowned Michigan-based auto design and manufacturing company, Optimal, will participate and speak today as well. In terms of upcoming events, let me just mention that my team is organizing in the first quarter of 2020 an EV seminar where experts will be presenting on opportunities in the U.S. market, including investment laws, taxes, and local incentives. This event will be designed to help potential EV investors understand more about the U.S. market and the U.S. investment landscape in growing this important industry segment and deepening the ties between U.S. and Taiwan in this important market. I invite all of you to participate. Let me close by saying we are very fortunate today to have with us some of the most forward-looking businesses in the world working on smart mobility. It's an impressive group. I have every confidence that Taiwan-U.S. cooperation will be successful in this shared strategic goal of restructuring global supply chains and expanding bilateral industry cooperation. My team and I at AIT stand ready to assist TAITRA, the participating companies, and all of you to deepen these ties and to support your efforts as well to invest in the United States. Thank you very much.
谢谢欧长致辞。Photo with our speakers and honorable guests, please. 我们接下来
Now we would like to have a group photo together. We would like to have Ms. Jiang from Bureau of Foreign Trade and Mr. Huang from TAITRA and Mr. Jack Chen from MIH Consortium, Mr. Zheng from Taiwan, Mr. Ho from Datou, Mr. Izzo from ST Microelectronics, and also Mr. Albers from Siemens Taiwan. We would like to have a group photo together. First, look at the camera in front of you.
好，请大家先微笑，然后我们是不是来比一个赞的手势，好不好 ？Thumbs up with your right hands。好， 我们秀一个手势。Let's do this. 好 ，Please look at the center. 可以吗？各位记者大哥 ，OK 吗？好，那我们是不是可以请大家暂时帮我们把口罩脱下来，这样我们来一张没有口罩的好吗？好，请大家帮我们放在口袋里头。好，来，我们 again thumbs up。好，我们先来一个这个。好，可以吗？再一张好不好？再一张。好，谢谢，谢谢，我们谢谢。
Thank you very much, distinguished guests. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for this photo. Please be seated. Next, we are having our session 1, system integration. MIH Consortium would like to become the Android for the automobile industry with innovation and shared resources so that we can stay as a team, stay competitive in the global arena. It's our honor to have Mr. Jack Zheng, CEO of MIH Consortium. For this presentation, his topic is pumping collaboration with open platform system integration. Let us welcome him with a round of applause. Mr. Huang, Mr. James Huang from TAITRA, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, good morning. So before today's presentation, I would like to introduce myself. My apologies. I dressed really casually because yesterday when I saw James, he dressed really casual. And actually, after this presentation, I have to return to my booth, so I'm dressed really casual. However, I would like to present to you a refreshing idea that in this 2035 e-mobility Taiwan Forum, I would like to thank Mr. James Huang for this opportunity. As we just passed the worst scenario in COVID, perhaps, and this is really a huge challenge that we could have delivered. We could have made this forum come true. And we have dedicated a lot of resources. We thought about a lot of things. We brainstormed for almost everything, to join this forum. This year, as we just passed Double 10th, our national holiday, and we can say 2021 is the first anniversary year of electric cars. And I'm very honored to share with you on MIH Consortium what we have done and some of our achievements. I would like to introduce myself. Actually, I haven't stayed in Taiwan for a while, and before coming back, I have worked in Ford in the United States and also Fiat in Italy. I spent 26 years in Ford in Michigan State. And also I had worked in Australia and UK, also in a Ford group. And around 1997, I was sent to China, expanding new business for Ford Group. And around 27, I joined Fiat Group. I had early retirement in Ford, and actually I still drive Ford at home. What does it mean? Ford is a centennial corporation, and it's been a pioneer in the automobile industry. So what was it like 100 years ago? At that time, when it comes to travel, people were riding carriages and gradually migrated to fossil fuel powered vehicles. And now, about 100 years later, we have this opportunity to review the vehicles we use in our trips. So now, looking into electric cars, of course, it's powered by electricity, but I think the more important part is the smart part. How do we make electric cars smart and intelligent? So here, I would like to emphasize the idea that electric cars is not just about electricity. It's more about intelligence. So we should call it smart mobility instead of just EV electric cars. If you don't mind, may I remove my mask? My apologies, it's just I'm too old. I need fresh air. In the past 4 decades or so in my automobile industry experiences, in the past 5-6 years, I really entered the arena of electric cars. In mainland China, I founded Future Cars with some friends who have internet background. And in the process, I found out that when it comes to electrification, we were early. But do you know that Tesla, 2004, Elon Musk came to Taiwan. He wanted to identify supply chain, but the first 1,000 roadster, he only had 1,000 cars or so. At that time, the supply chain here in Taiwan, some vendors, actually some companies in Taiwan, they supported Tesla, but they thought it would be just of small volume. But it was a surprising development, of course. Tesla is like an eel, because in Asian culture, eel means a paradigm shift or an innovative disruption in the industry, like an earthquake. So return to my topic, why I returned to Taiwan. I remember my colleague, Mr. Liu, he told me Taiwan has strong background in ICT, strong prowess and capabilities, also in consumer electronics and also PC, manufacturing, and smartphone. All these are fixed. Fixed means these products are not moving. So how are we going to make this product or this technology move? I think this is new opportunity for the coming decade or two. I think there's great opportunity here. And think about it, in the past 20 years, as we adopt smartphone, as we get used to mobile devices, think about it, if we can make this smart mobility more intelligent, I think that will leave a long legacy to our next generation. I hope our next generation wouldn't be a slave to robotics. I want them to stay human. I hope you feel me. If you're still playing with your smartphone, then of course you're a slave to your phone. How to stay human? That means we should create a better lifestyle, a better space for life. So it's like on this moving vehicle, it should feel like your second space, and you don't have to wear masks inside the space. And all the informatics, all the data can show how healthy you are. And this is something not so much understood in traditional manufacturers. But if you ask your children or the younger generation, for them it's easier to understand. You see, the millennial generation, they're already they're already in their 20s. And anyone still in their 20s, please raise your hand. No? I guess you're in your 30s. you're still young, but basically for MIH, if you have any inspiration, here I hope I can bring you more inspiration. I'm not just making a platform. I want to make our life, the vehicles, more smart. So MIH is mobility and harmony. And I heard that in the past few days on the internet, harmony is really a hot topic, a keyword that people have been searching for. So what is harmony? Mobility and harmony, what does it really mean? Our aspiration for this consortium, the reason why we have harmony in our name, I think in the time, especially after COVID-19, in this post-pandemic era, if we do not collaborate, if we do not open our data, I would say we are going to face more challenges in the future. As you can see, vaccines, right? We need to collaborate with global partners to develop vaccines. And I will very quickly go through the slides, and I would like to share with you the current status of local electric vehicle industries, our trends, our aspirations. And last but not least, I will also elaborate how MIH EV, developing a R&D consortium, thanks to the support of MOEA and TAITRA, how are we integrating the resources as we want to facilitate new innovation. And we hope to see more unicorns from Taiwan, that they can gain enough resources in the global capital market to lay solid foundation for the next generation of EV. Such aspiration, like I said, first, let us start looking at the global market of EV. I mean, in short, it's CASE, like James has mentioned. CASE, C means connectivity, autonomous, electricity, and also service and shared services. However, it's not just about the case. Actually, the more important will be the direction. Where does it lead to? Certainly, connection has been progressing well. And a lot of you here, I guess you have background in connectivity. You have experiences in related industry. However, connectivity is close linked to autonomy. Autonomy means man-less driving, and technically speaking, it's getting matured. However, when will it be popular and be fully implemented? I think it still takes time. And the consolidation of driving and also the pathways, the facilitation for EV on the road, I think these are areas we have to explore. And I think the upper right, the autonomy, I think here we have opportunities. So we are seeing a lot of unicorns, small unicorns from the A area, whereas in C, connectivity, there is fierce competition. And for S, that's shared services and software-defined platform. I think it's still so new. So we are seeing really young generation. They are defining the app based on customer experiences that is software-defined hardware. So these are the model of new services. Last but not least, E, that will be the IT infrastructure, meaning electric components, battery, and also EA, electrification. All this, I think they are taking forms. So among these four dimensions, if you look at A, of course, there's great opportunity. Maybe the best opportunity here, but there will be more challenges. You need to fulfill customers' needs, and especially the safety and security of the customers. If you look at the top 5 markets for EV around the world, number 1 is China. Under the influence of pandemic, still they have an annual growth rate of 13%. The United States, due to the previous president's policy, in the United States stay as the number 3 in global EV market. But like Mr. Brand said, thanks to the support of Biden administration, electric car development will taking huge steps, huge leaps in the coming years. And for Germany, because Tesla has opened its factory in Europe, right in Germany, so Germany is accelerating its development. But if you look at number 2, number 4, and number 5, these 3 European countries, actually the 3 of them combined together, I think they are as competitive as China. So in the future, if you want to stay in the EV business, you want to penetrate this industry, you can go to Europe. And the biggest car maker will be Volkswagen in Germany. And their electrification, they have allocated 30 billion European dollars euro to develop this trend, and it's something irreversible. That's Volkswagen 30 billion euro. So this year, by August in China, they have made about 2 to 2.5 million cars. By 2025, we can say, if we want to reach 5 million cars, electric vehicles in China, it's easy. And in China, they have 25 million cars. That's for taxi or on-demand services, and almost 20% of it are electric cars. And in Taiwan, for us, the rental cars are still, of electric vehicles are still low. But this is the serenity before storm. So we are still seeing the tranquility, but very quickly. Once you have driven electric cars, can you raise your hand if you had driven electric cars?
至少我们有一些同好已经
As you can see, there are people who are switching to e-mobility. I think that once you switch to electric cars, I think it's impossible for you to return back to fuel power cars. But they think that for the experience, the convenience, and accelerations are completely different. So here you can see that we are moving into the upper right-hand side, that you are trying to offer something differentiating, and it's innovating. And they're moving from the lower left-hand side to the upper right-hand side. The traditional chassis, driver systems or components will become commodity, and they are all standardized in the future. In MIH, we have defined all the standards and specification. So it's basically a chassis with battery and 4 wheels. Now we are using wires to control all the components. In the F-16 fighter jet, then they are using wire control. And traditionally, all the older fighter jet, they would use mechanical components to control. So many of these components have already become commodity. They are not where the values are. You have to focus more on the software and autonomous driving. And everything will be electrified. So if you are still working in the industry on the lower left-hand side, I would suggest you to look forward to the upper right-hand side and then gradually shift towards to it. If you want to differentiate yourself in the market, you need to work with OEM partners, and you need to keep your traditional values But on top of that, you need to have software design solutions. When I started those endeavors in China, I told everyone that we need to write down all the driving scenarios that we are seeing on the road. For example, we have 200 of them. And then after that, we need to translate those scenarios into our use cases and specification. For example, I stand on the pedestrian bridge and see all the cars. What are the things that I see at the windshield? And we take photos. And when we review those photos, I noticed that actually a lot of people who are at the passenger seat put their feet on the dashboard. And I wonder that's why their girlfriends or wives are putting their feet up there. And I think that's a situation in China. So we wonder why it happened. Later on, we discover everyone sitting in that passenger seat want to have a more comfortable seat. So since that everyone's are looking for comfort for the passengers, and you'll get to know that you can actually remove some of the components in the car, and then you can reshape the passenger seat, and you can also offer different features. For example, you can help them to lay down and then relax more. Traditionally, you can put it in the fuel power vehicles, and that's one of the important things that we need to do.
再讲5分钟，所以我的一个最。
So I think it's important to change, and the motivations and the drivers to change is very important. And this is a graph I produced a few days ago with my team. If you look at the y-axis, it's the cost of your car. For example, on the left-hand side, you see the build-up materials. In 2005, we didn't know what kind of role that software could play in the cars. Until 2020, then everyone thinks that software should play the role, but how much of a role that they should play in the BOM? Some people would know the figures, some people couldn't. So you should think about the costs and the manpower invested into the car. So you should actually have more software in your vehicles. If you have more software in the vehicles, then you can get more margins. Then in the software, you would have AD, autonomous driving, artificial intelligence, include over-the-air and security. All these softwares should be included in your auto design in the future. So MIH is focusing on these aspects, and we're looking and identifying the best talents in ICT and software in Taiwan, so we can increase the proportion of software in automobiles. By 2030, and you will see software playing an increasing role, and all the traditional components like the chassis will probably account for less than 50%. On the other hand, the security, energy, and environmental and control components will have increasing proportions of costs in the BOM. So if you have a lot of software in the automobiles, you can actually offer higher value to your customers and also higher value to your business. We need to focus on the software-defined vehicles. This is the automobiles markets in Taiwan, and there are a lot of opportunities that we can still take advantage of in the next 10 years. You need to offer new definition to the software, and actually it's within the electric markets in Taiwan. 51% is about telematics. And you have to focus on the system-based solutions. Our visions in MIH is about co-prosperity and sustainability. We also want to specify our standards. We need to think about in the future, how do we manage the temperature inside the cars, and what kind of wind speed and wind ratio. These can all be designed, and all the specifications should be based on user experience and user scenarios. And for example, if you have kids in the back seat or taking a nap, what kind of temperature you can offer. We have to think about different scenarios, and all after we have the standard and specification, then all the companies will be able to follow. So with these standards, everyone can deliver the best products in the markets. Currently, we have more than 2,000 members. And we have different members in different task forces. I focus on hardware and software. We'll focus on the infotainment systems, security system. On the right-hand side, you are seeing all those hardware, and they will become a centralized computing unit, and it will all becomes like a superpower, basically, and supercomputer. We'll be able to surpass some of the existing players. Of course, there are different business models you can play. You can be the OEM. We can sell the chassis. I want to go into details. Last but not the least, you can see this is our 16 working groups. We just started, and yesterday we had an announcement with Microsoft and ARM, as well as other companies like Trend Micro. Trend Micro's will lead the security working group. Microsoft is related to cloud. All these working groups will be working together to develop a new platform. And you will get to see 3 vehicles downstairs, and they will incorporate our systems, and they will continue to iterate and then continuously improve. And due to time constraints, I think I'll stop here. So thank you. I hope that we can work together. Thank you very much. Thank you. Please take your seat. Now we move on to the second talk of the day. ARM have been an important players in the process to secure real-time demands as well as security. Today, we are very honored to have Mr. Zheng from ARM Taiwan and talk about new market opportunities of software-defined vehicles.
Hello.
Can you hear me? Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests here in the 2035 e-mobility Taiwan, thank you for coming. Good morning. I'm very honored to be invited by James from TAITRA. It's my honor to share with you here about perspective on the automobile industry. I thought Jack was to sing karaoke on the stage, but indeed he shared lots of ideas and thoughts on EV consortium. Today, a lot of friends of mine, they knew I'm coming. They they joked saying that, yeah, don't speak too much, just give me the chip. Maybe there will be a topic for easel, but in my presentation, I will spend more time on the software-defined cars. For software-defined, maybe I focus here, then people wouldn't be asking me when are we going to solve the hardware shortage problem. And like James mentioned, software-defined is a new topic. Thinking back, my first car came into my life about 20 years ago. At that time, we look at the engine, the chassis, suspension, and also the aluminum rings, etc. That was how I look at cars. I mean, these are the highlights I look at my car. But in the future, if we want to modify a car, we will look into the software. That's for the future. Think about it. Maybe it's not the time yet, but like Jack mentioned, he has laid out the vision for our future for EV, and actually it takes little time, much less time, to modify your car with software. Maybe just a few $1,000 you can actually boost your horsepower by 30%, 50%. And then you can upgrade your ADAS functions with just a few more $1,000. And then with a few thousand more, you can enhance your infotainment so that you can enjoy more videos, more streaming in your car. So that is the new generation to come. So today, I will focus more on how can we accelerate this generation to become reality. Before we talk about software, let us discuss the computing in a car. What are the highlights? First of all, people have high expectations for computing in a car. If your platform is not powerful enough, that your IC, your chip are not powerful, then of course you wouldn't be able to support the machine learning and software-defined cars. So a powerful platform is really a key. And secondly, you have to have high efficiency. You wouldn't want your car to shut down due to high temperature. So number one is powerful. Number two is efficient. So in Chinese, that is, if you want a horse to run and you're not feeding the horse the hay, well, that's our future demand. But ARM, we are very good at it. So in the past, ARM has been dedicated in this vehicle automobile industry for more than 25 years. And in ADAS, in power chain, we have high market penetration. Here, I'm not to brag about how good ARM is, but I'm here to share with you our scope for the future. And from opening remarks and also our distinguished speaker, they all have mentioned it's EV. EV may arrive earlier than we expected. This is really a new market, so there are lots of new players here. Like Jack mentioned, in traditional car makers, for example, Volkswagen, it's confirmed that they will invest 30 billion euro to transform their car manufacturing is not just digitization, is electrification. So you can imagine how immense the opportunities are. And thirdly, because it's fierce competition, there will be more than one model being launched in the market. For example, MIH launched 3 models just yesterday. And with such market development, that means great challenges for car designers. These designers will have to complete their design in a really short period of time, really short life cycle, and launch the car in the market. So that's a really big challenge for the community. Looking into such challenges, what is the paradigm shift to come? I mean, with all the challenges, one thing is that your experiences in car will be completely different. Like Jack said, you need a leg resting place, and that means your cockpit will be larger, will be very different. So in infotainment, these changes and the expectation from the consumers are high. Therefore, the complexity in the design of hardware wouldn't be just one order. There will be several orders. Like Jack mentioned, he emphasized smart mobility. Therefore, in your car, there will be multiple functions. For example, a sensor for to help you stay awake, and maybe a few years later, it will be audio control, and no longer audio control. The next step may be your brand or your ideas will be connected. Whatever you think, for example, the song you want to hear, the car will play. So that means you will have to develop the software, before the whole car is completed. Otherwise, you're going to delay the cycle for 24 months or even longer. So you really have to develop your software really quick in the cloud, and then you have another really quick deployment into your car. So this will be a huge challenge. Last but not least, this will be the biggest disruption. In the past, traditional car makers, they give demand to the suppliers. It's like king giving orders. However, in the future, the supply chain, the value chain will be completely different. The car manufacturers will no longer be the dominating sole decision maker, but it will be an ecosystem, a community from tier 1 to tier 2 to car service provider. It will be a collective effort to drive innovation for the future automobile industry. As you can see, software will take a really pivotal role in the future automobile industry. And as we mentioned, software-defined vehicle, like Mr. Huang mentioned, I have been talking about software-defined devices, but when it comes to cars, it will be really software-driven. That's a new direction. So what does it mean really, software-driven? Of course, it's driven by software. The capabilities are determined by the softwares. And secondly, you can imagine there will be a lot of models running at the same time. So you need to have a program that can be deployed in different hardware. And thirdly, all the software in the car must be manageable, upgradable. And number 4, it should be able to accelerate it by the cloud. So for the whole industry, what are the benefits to the stakeholders? Well, for the car manufacturers, of course, it can reduce the bond and accelerate business development. And secondly, like Jack mentioned, car wouldn't no longer be a commodity, because by leveraging software, you can have new revenue stream. For example, you can ask your consumer, okay, if you want to upgrade your horsepower, that's okay, $10,000 US. You want to upgrade your infotainment, that's $100. So these are new business models for the whole car making industry. Thirdly, this is also very important. If you look at warranty, usually nowadays with traditional cars, it's 3 or 5 years of warranty. And after that, usually the consumers, they will go to other small and private maintenance specialists. That means the manufacturer lost the interaction scenario with their customers. But with software, that means it's like a glue. The consumers will stay attached to the car maker. So software-defined means a lot of opportunities to IC development and software development, because this is a completely new market with new perspective on business. So our customers, they have great opportunity to provide all kinds of services in car. And for the consumer, of course, it's apparent, it's easily visible that they can upgrade their software to optimize their car and their experiences in their car. And they wouldn't have to push any button, 1 or 2 or 3. And actually, for example, the face detection, they know, okay, this is CK, and CK love driving fast, so the whole system would adjust. And for example, they recognize my wife. They know that my wife wouldn't drive as fast as I do, so the system will adjust to her speed. So that will be a great opportunity to upgrade user experiences. Last but not least, I would like to cite something that we hear very often in the car industry. If you meet a good salesperson, that means your user experiences is like in heaven. But if you encounter bad sales, that means you might be, so you would be intimidated that you may die. Well, you go to heaven as well. But when it comes to the software-defined car making industry, actually you can pay with mobile phone, and you can upgrade your car immediately. So that's really a new business model. So what are the requirements for enabling the software-defined vehicle? Of course, number one, there must be portability, supply chain flexibility. And number two, we need to have cloud-native approach, meaning you can have quick development or even develop in advance before the car is made, so that deployment would be on time and in time. And in cloud technology, I mean, there are several important technology. One thing is container, and the other is RT. So this technology, they do not have the awareness of real-time and functional awareness. So that's something we need to improve. And number four, we need to have open standards, because this market is too big. To make development smooth and scalable, we need open standards so that everyone can participate in accelerated development. Let me share with you with one example. So how can we deploy the native software in a car? First of all, you need to have a common hardware. So you see there's a hypervisor. And in your car, there's an orchestrator, meaning it can deploy the resources you need. It can be memory or I order. And as you start deploying this software in a car, all this software must be fully developed in the cloud. So in the cloud, you need to have the same developing environment as you will have in the car. However, here you might have some question, right? Number one, because we have a lot of SoC vendors nowadays to choose from. So how can you make sure that this hardware system are aligned so that you can develop in the same place? Secondly, with this structure, we did not cover functional safety and real-time response. And number three, how are we going to ensure that the developers in the cloud share the same environment so that the deployment can be quick, and then after development can be immediately deployed to the car owners. So we have Sophie. Actually, it's software architecture embedded edge. So if you have embedded computing, if you have similar background, you will know how popular it is in recent years. Actually, 2 years ago, we had Project Cassini in ARM. Of course, there are lots of specifics. Let me share with you ARM System Ready. So by ARM System Ready, we integrate different hardware and firmware. We abstract them so that the developers in the cloud, it will be much easier to move them to edge computing. So if you do not align this software and through abstraction, if abstraction is not available, then developers wouldn't be able to do their job. So in Project Cassini, here we have the organization, a special interest group. It would drive a open standard so that the software in the cloud can be shared in automotive workload. And secondly, the standardized software architecture with a standard, of course, we can cover functional safety and real time.
Of course, you have to put it into practice. We hope to use open source software application and even hardware implementations. So anyone who are interested in software-defined vehicles, whether you are developers or integrators, you can actually utilize these open architectures to experiment and test on it. So how do we solve the previous questions and issue? So through a system-ready methods, we have the software and firmware, so they can have the first level of abstractions on the hardware level, and also you can see all different kind of OS. And with this hypervisor, you have container runtime. You also have hardware abstraction layer. So different containers and software applications will be here. In the cloud, you also need to have this software environment. You also need to have a virtual ECU, so the developers can simulate that the environments when they deploy the software in this car. You also need to have software modules that is security aware. Sophie is an open initiative. It can offer some fundamental transformations to the industry. So I really invite all the developers, companies, and organizations to get to know more about Sophie. We hope to work with you to push forward this technology. We have demonstrations in MIH, and also we have a demos with our partner AD-Link. If you're interested, please visit our booth at MIH and see how we can implement Sophie in the system. Of course, consortiums composed of many different companies. We need to work together as a group. When we brainstorm about Sophie, We have received a lot of positive feedback, and many companies are joining us in the group. We have partners in tier ones, in automakers like AD-Link, like Continental as well. And we also have component and software partners. We want to expand our consortiums and then put the solution onto the market as soon as possible. Besides software, you still need a great hardware environment to be scalable and to be efficient and applicable. We have to emphasize on real-time functional safety and security so your system will not be hacked. It will include a lot of requirements. You can see the ISO 26262 standards. That standard is available in the systems. That will define the safety standards and security standards based on different user scenario. You need to get an SLD application. So there are different levels of a seal that you have to pass and acquire. We have to think from a technology solution perspective, so we can help them to customize their software modules or IC chips. Through the certifications, we will be able to ensure functional safety. So we have certified software components. There are also documents that we can help you to accelerate your deployment. We can also help you to reduce your design efforts. From the SoC structure, how can ARM help you? First of all, from the CPU perspective, you have a very high-end AE. You also have A65 CPU. If you want to have a real-time processor, you have also other Cortex R series. Besides CPU, you also need a 3D graphics GPU as well. And we also require ISP and IP as well. There are also MMU and CMAE 600AE. So we hope to provide all the underlying technologies so our customers can have a different software-defined AOC in the process. So what is our objective in the process? We hope to reduce your development time as much as possible. With our IP in ARMs and tools, and with software and standard, we hope we can shorten the design cycle. In the past, you have to prepare your hardware and firmware before you have the software development. However, with SOFI, you can start with software and systems on the cloud. Once your system is ready, you can deploy this software as soon as possible. Through cloud-based developments, after you sell your car, you can continue to support your customers, and also you can have new implementation possible. This is a huge market. We hope to include everyone and more companies in the process. I believe everyone here is certain that this is a turning point for the auto industry. So intelligent connected vehicles will be the future. With such a grand future, and it could create a lot of design challenge on our software, hardware, and design. And of course, software-defined vehicles will help us in innovations, business efficiency, as well as your monetizations. You can also improve significantly of your customer experiences. We believe that through software-defined vehicles, we can definitely transform the whole auto industry. So I really hope to invite you to learn more about SOFI, and I would like to invite you to join SOFI as well. So thank you for your time. I wish you to have a great and useful conference. Thank you. Thank you for your talk. Please return to your seat. Now we move on to the next talk. And ST microelectronics is definitely one of the important components and suppliers. And their chips can be applicable to many different scenarios. So now I would like to invite Mr. Giuseppe Izzo to give us a talk on new trends of automotive electronics.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Dear James, thank you for inviting me. I see some old friends here, like Cheney, like Erdal, my old friend Erdal. New friends like Jack, like our colleague from ARM. And thank you all for inviting me, first of all. So ST is the European leader in semiconductors. We are a company in the range of $12 billion of business this year, more or less, and growing, obviously, like every other company in the semiconductor field. We have around 45,000 people in all continents, and our major shareholders are the Italian government and the French government. That's why our name in Mandarin is IFA Pandauti. So Italian and French semiconductors. We started the automotive business in 1985, 86. The first division was created in 1987, the day I joined the company. And ever since, we have become leader in this specific field of semiconductors for automotive, with a business of $3.5 billion last year. So we support most of the car makers around the world, and I will show you later what we do for these customers. We have been, as I said, in this game for the past 35 years, and covering traditional section of a car, and now also the fast-growing vehicles, as introduced this morning by other colleagues. So we are the automotive solution provider with one of the widest product portfolio in the industry, supporting customers at every design stage. So we cover applications like powertrain, body, chassis and safety, entertainment, telematics, now e-mobility, ADAS, and mobility services like eCall or others. Obviously, the key words today in the industry, as we have learned from the previous presentations, the keywords are electrification, digitization, and autonomous drive. So these, according to market analysis, bring opportunities that go from $36 billion 2 years ago to almost double over the next 5 years. So it's a big opportunity, big market opportunity for everyone, and obviously big market opportunity for many, many Taiwanese companies. The overall complexity is increasing in the car, as we have seen from the ARM presentation. The number of ECUs in a car is increasing. The digital and connectivity transition is increasing also, influencing the vehicle architecture, as we will see later. And obviously, every car requires higher computational power. From the semiconductor point of view, not only from the brain of a car, we also need to move the car, okay? So we have we see from the ST point of view, we see three major pillars or three major domains of semiconductors. One is obviously the digital to support the software platforms. One are the drivers, analog drivers, and obviously the power. So with these three blocks of semiconductors, we cover the wide range of applications in a car that go from charging station to electric motor to low voltage and high voltage battery to battery management systems, DC-DC converters, onboard chargers, inverters, and others. So very, very rich domain of applications. It's not only one application, that's multiple applications in a single platform, okay? I call it an economic platform, okay? Without considering also the manufacturing that per se is another platform around the car. So we cover these applications with digital, a couple of microprocessor families, as we will see later, with isolated driver solutions, and with silicon power that go from IGBTs to MOSFETs to triacs, rectifiers, diodes, and new materials, the third-gen semiconductors that are silicon carbide and gallium nitride. Obviously, we use our own technologies that go from CMOS 40 nanometers to FD-SOI 28 nano. We are not in the race for these applications, and not in the race for the 2 or 3 nanometers, though we do some designs in that area, as I will show later. We obviously, in the analog world, we use our own technology that we started when I joined the company in 1985-86, that's called BCD, and VI power, vertical intelligent power. And obviously, for the MOSFETs, we use MD mesh, strip FET, and silicon carbide. So the car electrification is, from the semiconductor point of view, is primarily about power content, power business. It's a lot of MOSFETs there. So we see that over the next couple of years, the content of power is stretching from 40% to 50% in a single car, and obviously driven by the electrification. And within the power, the silicon carbide is growing. It's taking space not much from the IGBTs, rather from the traditional MOSFET. And why? Because obviously we have switching losses saving, 80%. We have possibility of doing direct drive, better cooling, a better thermal management, faster charging time. So this is the promise coming along with the silicon carbide, and obviously the transition to gallium nitride presents different advantages. Okay? When we come to the analog side, we, as I said, make use of our BCD technologies. These technologies were invented by ST. So in the 80s, by one of our chief inventors, Bruno Murari, we have shipped ever since more than $40 billion of these products, so multi-billion-dollar volume, incredible volumes, covering not only automotive, but also other industrial applications. In particular, in automotive, we use advanced BCD for driving silicon carbide and gallium nitride, basically the wide bandgap drivers. We use advanced BCD technology also for battery management, cell monitoring and balancing, and 48-volt for mild hybrid and entry-level electrification. And we are covering now, starting to cover the new domains of battery cutoff and fire off, very new features that intervene when accidents occur. I did the automotive business for 15 years, not as long as Jack. And, but I did enjoy this part of the business. And we were in the industry scratching the head whether or not there would be a central CPU in a car, right? So we know that in a car there are multiple ECUs, right? Distributed ECUs, and electronic central unit, now more than 100 in a single car, and each ECU having an onboard MCU, and very difficult through the bus, CAN, LIN, or AUTOSAR, or whatever, or Ethernet, whatever, very difficult for many years to put them in communication. So the idea of having a CPU replacing the brain of the driver was there, but not practical, not safe, not, let's say, implementable easily in electronic times. So today we see this shift in the architecture of a car, transition from the distributed architecture to the domain zone architecture, where a central unit on the top will replace the human drive. So therefore, this makes the self-driving more possible. So under a central unit, we will have the domains with domain MCUs. So we see transition into a new world, completely new world, new partitions from an electronic point of view, where there is an increased, a need for increased performance, 10 times more computational power, 6 times more features, 3 times faster over the air, and obviously in terms of switching losses and performance of power elements, much more advanced. So from this point of view, we have been in the market supporting applications like onboard charger, battery management, DC-DC, wireless charging, battery pack, powertrain inverter, with the Power PC that we developed in Germany together with Motorola many years ago. And we have been supporting our customers very comfortably with this solution. And with embedded flash, that is a key point, that's been a key point in our MCU roadmap for automotive and also beyond automotive. Now we are moving to a new ARM-based platform that is called Stellar, that comes to the market in a couple of different versions. One for, let's say, with more on analog peripherals to drive the traction, the onboard charger, battery management systems, and DC-DC converters, and one for high performance that is instead of flash memory integrating a phase change memory. ST leads the ADAS market. We are more than 30% of market share in the world. I forgot to say that every day we ship about 4 million units to the automotive makers in the world, and they seem not to be enough. Okay, we also experience shortage as we speak. Okay, because there is an over demand. So we have been supporting a lot of customers across the world quite successfully. So therefore, we have this difficult task of balancing demand and offer, but we are working on it. For ADAS, we have a large share. So always remember that when you sit in a car, when you drive a car, or whatever the car may be, you are driven by ST products, okay? Good or bad, okay? You are in our hands, okay? So, and Ford is one of them, as you know, and Marelli, since you worked in Italy, is one of them, okay? So, in ADAS, we share equally a good part of the market with radars, 24 giga and 77 gigahertz, with 32-bit microcontrollers, as we have seen before, with vision processors, okay, machine vision. I will come back later to this, and then with a lot of ASICs for specific customers, and with high precision GPS products, GNSS. 15, 16 years ago, or 17 years ago, we started doing work with this company, at that time startup in Israel, called Mobileye, that is today an Intel company. We keep working with them. We are in production at IQ6. For those of you who are not familiar, these are just the eyes of the driverless cars, okay? So not brain, not yet the brain, okay, but the eyes, okay? So we have been working with them, and as you see, the power of computation has gone from 250 gigahertz to terahertz, tera operations per second right now, obviously bringing along also an increase in power. So we are very proud to be associated with them, and we have been so far shipping more than 50 million units to the market. So 50 million cars have the eyes, okay? Can see, right? And can see around, and can move potentially by themselves. Beyond vision, we are in the V2X domain and the precision GSS. V2X, we do work again with a company in Israel called Autotalks that is working more, is both on the cellular and Wi-Fi protocols. As you see, this is a very controversial topic between 5G and Wi-Fi. We try to go over both, but we do more work with Autotalks on the Wi-Fi domain. 4 of the top 10 automakers deploy Autotalks solution, and 10 tier 1s have selected this chipset for production in 2022. For GNSS, we created the first GPS module for car companies in 1987. Right? Today, we have 28% of market share. We cover the multi-band consolidations and in sub-meter positioning. So we have a very long experience in this area of GPS and positioning. Beyond all these products I have introduced, we are trying to bring sensors to the automotive world. ST is a leader in sensors for consumer applications. Especially for mobile personal electronics, we ship probably more than 1 billion units a year, okay, in a lot of commodities now in these domains, inertial sensors. Now we are shifting or trying to migrate to automotive applications, covering applications like navigation, airbag, telematic boxes, and gyroscopes for vehicle dynamics applications. And obviously, in addition to this, we have a very large number of analog products, general purpose, that go into DC-DC, low drop out voltage regulators, and LED drivers. So, ST is committed to work with customers to grow with market, possibly outperforming it. That means gaining share, both in automotive and industrial sector. We are more than glad and happy to support our customers, especially in this new domain of electrification, connectivity, and automatic driving. We are also committed to supporting the mass market that goes beyond the car companies with our product portfolio. And I always would like to remind people that we remain leader in certain areas of power, like MOSFETs by GPT, but especially silicon carbide right now. We are the #1 automotive company in that domain, and we are trying to support with our transition from PowerPC to ARM-based controllers, support the 32-bit automotive platforms. With this, I conclude my presentation, and I remember always, I would like to remind always all of you that our technology starts with you. Thank you very much.
谢谢，谢谢。
Thank you very much, Mr. Guispeizo. Thank you for your presentation. Our fourth session will be AI industry trends offer smart IoT future. As we are seeing this car-connected internet, and there are multiple solutions required by the market, including connected traffic and edge power network, and also the 5G promotion. So in this new domains, we have a lot of new technologies being developed in microcontroller, and it's our honor to have Mr. Erda over, President and CEO of Siemens Taiwan, and his topic is AI industry trends over smart IoT future. Let's welcome him.
Thank you for your introduction. Dear customers, ladies and gentlemen, friends, good morning. Taiwan. And thank you very much to TAITRA, especially to my friend Chairman Huang, for giving us Siemens the opportunity to share our view on the future of mobility. Siemens, as you might know, is one of the leading technology companies in mobility solutions. And I'm glad to share with you some of our solutions, what we are providing also here in Taiwan. The mobility sector is going through a transformation, as many other sectors like energy, industry. Some are more advanced, and I believe, and personally believe, mobility sector is in the very beginning of this transformation. And as we all know, this transformation is mainly driven by technologies, especially digital technologies, IoT, and AI technologies, which help to connect, of course, those things, to make things and run systems in a better way. And that is also the theme of my speech related to connectivity. I will share with you a bit the challenges we are facing in the mobility sector, and then share with you technologies we are providing, and some real examples, and share with you how we can shape the future of mobility with Siemens technologies. Let's start with the challenges we are facing. In fact, megatrends like urbanization, digitalization, demographic changes are driving the demand for mobility, but also the need to have a more sustainable mobility. Just to share with you a couple of facts. By 2050, 70% of world population will be living in cities. And, well, the number says 3 times more passenger movement predicted globally in that time, hoping that corona pandemic is gone and is not hindering us to moving around. And more than 30% of energy is consumed in transportation in the mobility sector. And also 25% of global greenhouse gas emissions are caused by the transportation sector. So keeping this in mind, so we have to provide solutions which will run the mobility solutions in a more efficient way. Again, keeping the growth in mind, we have to optimize things and having a more sustainable mobility solutions. To overcome those challenges, we say the key is the connecting the things together, connecting the rail systems with the road systems, and providing a better optimized transportation solutions to the population of the cities, and to have a better again, optimize transportation in the city with the aim of reducing, again, the CO2 emissions, reducing the energy consumptions. Once again, our resource on the world is limited, and that is something we have to keep in mind, also reducing the consumption of our scarce resources. As the picture shows, the future will be connected, will be seamless, and Siemens, again, providing digital solutions to optimize the transportation on the rail and provide an efficient transportation systems for the rail network, but also provide mobility as a service solutions to our customers and linking rail solutions with road with different apps and solutions, again, to make people's life easier by moving from one place to another. So those are seamless solutions, digital solutions, and interconnected solutions. As I said, the future will be connected. And this is, of course, supported by different digital technologies. And that is also what we are providing as a leading technology company in mobility solutions, having a holistic portfolio addressing, in fact, all those key areas. We have the rail infrastructure group providing solutions for the rail automation and electrification. We have intermodal solutions that are, in fact, the software apps, solutions, software solutions, cloud-based solutions, which we are offering for passenger information systems, for booking, payment, and also data management solutions for transportation. Of course, we are the leader in turnkey solutions all over the world with having our most efficient MRT systems, by the way, in Taipei, but also Kaohsiung. We are providing those solutions to our customers. And also one of the leader in providing high-speed solutions, as the picture shows one of our trains. I will, in the following, focus on those two areas related to intelligent traffic systems and also to e-charging, e-mobility charging solutions, which was also one of the major topics which my pre-speakers have addressed. The intelligent traffic systems solutions are provided by our company called Unix Traffic. It's in fact a 100% Siemens company, and they are providing innovative mobility ecosystems and services for the smart city solutions. And you see on the pictures a couple of key areas what we are providing. For example, intelligent traffic management solutions, helping to utilize the big data, optimize the traffic management, and optimize the traffic flow in cities, especially in intersections, which are, of course, one of the most crowded places, which needs to be optimized. We're providing solutions for making intersections more smart. Again, all running with digital solutions, cloud solutions, and simulation, data analytics, and AI. This topic is as important as in industry, but also in mobility. So we are providing solutions which can help to simulate city traffic movements, for example, to provide our customers solutions which they can use to design, to expand the city's road infrastructure, for example. And of course, road services, another important area to optimize the performance of the city traffic infrastructure. And of course, this needs to be done throughout its entire life cycle. Just to share with you the overall solutions we are providing. In the following, I will just go through a couple of examples, then I have a short clip to summarize what we are all doing in the sector. London, as you might know, is one of the most crowded cities in terms of traffic. If you have been there, you will know. And we, as Siemens, have been awarded to provide the next generation traffic management solutions to our customers, which is the Transport for London, you might know, TfL. And this is a solution which we call also real-time optimizer for city, city mobility operating system, which helps our customers to gather the data from the traffic and optimize the traffic light management in a way that the traffic flow can be optimized, reduce the congestions with this reduce the CO2 emissions, and again, provide our customer a system which can help also to design future solutions. This is, of course, based on all the data gathered through different areas, through the traffic lights, for example, or sensors on different areas, which will help in the future to communicate with the drivers, again, to provide information about the traffic flow, but also which will help in future to provide autonomous driving solutions. So that is one of the solutions which we are providing in London to our customers. Another one is in the Middle East, providing the simulation solutions, helping our customers to simulate the traffic. In fact, build what we call also a digital twin of the traffic of the city Abu Dhabi, which should also help to decide, and it's also a decision-making system, where and what to be needs to be installed in terms of traffic management system to optimize the traffic flow, and also very important to simulate certain times, certain areas of the city, and with this also be able to decide on the expansion of the traffic system. So this is another example what we have provided to our customers in Middle East. Now, as a German company, I have to share with you also German solutions. The city Wiesbaden, this is the capital of Hessen. Those from Germany might know. It is in fact close to Frankfurt. Has commissioned Siemens to implement its digitalization of their traffic to optimize the CO2 emissions, to reduce the traffic-related nitrogen oxide emissions, because those values have been very high in the city, and the city had to find ways to optimize those emissions. How to do it? Again, we have provided digital solutions which can gather the traffic data, but also environmental data, passenger movements at different times, and with this gave to the city authorities the possibility to optimize the traffic flow, and with this also reduce the CO2 plus, of course, nitrogen oxide emissions. This is another example what we did, again, using big data, data analytics, AI algorithms, and also connectivity. Let's watch a short clip again to summarize what we all can do with our intelligent traffic solutions. Sorry, back. I was too fast. I try again. Someone has to help me. Next one. Next one.
We are UNEX Traffic, and we connect the dots of a new mobility revolution. More and more people are living in cities and share a limited amount of space. Their need for mobility increasingly exceeds the capacity of our transportation systems and road networks. As a result, they experience a constant rise of congestion, air pollution, accidents, and delays. A serious challenge, not only for the people who live there, but for our whole planet. As the global leader for intelligent traffic solutions, we can make an important contribution to solving these challenges. With digitalization and the use of disruptive technologies, we enable cities, highway authorities, and mobility operators to create a new world of mobility, with vehicles that are shared, connected, and autonomous. Tunnel automation, smart tolling, and adaptive traffic systems for simulation and prediction that allow for a totally new level of traffic management that is truly proactive. This will transform our cities into a place where people can live, work, and move more freely, with better quality of life, less accidents and air pollution, which will play a critical part in solving our climate crisis. Urban mobility must and will change, and we will lead the way. UNEX Traffic. Uniting what's next in traffic.
All right. So now I'm coming to my next and last session and talk about a bit e-mobility charging. We have seen and talk a lot about e-cars, electric vehicles. This is definitely one of the key changes and transformation happening in the mobility sector. by having digital technologies which can help to connect the traffic system with the cars and others. Of course, in this context, we also need proper charging solutions. You might know we're now talking more and more about e-cars, but also autonomous driving. This will be the future. Many companies working on it, like Google, Tesla, and others. And we at Siemens are working on autonomous charging systems. And recently in September, we have already demonstrated our solutions, our autonomous charging system. It was premiere in Munich, which enables the fully automated charging of electric vehicles from sport cars up to trucks, big trucks. And we have demonstrated it can have a capacity from 300 kilowatt up to 1 megawatt in the future development stage. So it is, again, very important. It provides a wide range of possibilities to charge electric vehicles in different sizes. And also here, we are using digital technologies, AI technologies to implement this solution. For example, the car has to be in a certain position, and then through AI algorithms, the system can detect what kind of connector this car has, and accordingly position the plug at the proper space, and then do the automated charging of the vehicle. And also to help the big trucks, respectively, the big things you have to move, we have the robots which can help to move the related arms to charge, which is of course not only for big trucks but also physically disabled people. It will be very, very important to have such solutions. So that is one solution which we are working on. Again, autonomous charging system. The next one, which we are already having, innovative e-bus charging. Electric buses will be the key to reduce the noise and pollution reduction in cities. And thank you, Taipei government, at least in Taiwan. We have a lot of governments working on, and 2030, all buses needs to be replaced by electric buses, right? So that's a good decision, and those needs also proper charging systems, which we are providing. Those charging systems we have already deployed in Germany, in Sweden, in many places. Very efficient charging systems. In 4 to 10 minutes, an electric bus can be charged. Those are in fact break times of the drivers. And you see also some facts on the slide which can help to reduce cost around 3 million per year, 70,000 less CO2 emissions, and many more. So that is another important solutions which we are providing. Last but not least, again, charging solutions for normal electric vehicles. And we have officially launched our latest VersiCharge AC charger for commercial and residential use here in Taiwan. You see the pictures. It is one of the events my colleagues are doing. And this is, again, another solutions we are providing for EV charging together with our channel partner, CanThink Electrics in Taipei. In fact, this is one of the latest, let's say, state-of-the-art chargers, which is helping also to connect the charging system with the building management system, and which can also help, again, to the operator to monitor and manage and adjust the system in real time. And that is a very important feature which we need to have an efficient charging system. So those are the examples, technologies we are providing out of many. And again, we are ready to support the development in the mobility sectors and connecting the future of smart mobility with our technologies. Thank you very much. That is my LinkedIn connection. If you like to give me feedback, welcome to do it. Thank you.
谢谢 Albert 总裁，谢谢您精彩的分享，请先回座。
Thank you for your wonderful presentation. So please be seated. Last but not least, next session for the morning will be session 5 from Datong Company. In recent years, Datong has been expanding its prowess into electronic vehicle and other business electric components. So it's our honor to have Mr. Chen Ho, CEO and President of Datong, for more power and more powerful smart vehicles. Yeah, I'm the last speaker of the morning. This is the scenario that I fear the most because very often other speakers would delay. And as you know, I work in Avontech. I focus on the development of industrial PC. I'm very honored to be invited by James to join today's forum. So I would like to look at the mega picture of this industry. Think about it. Starting when did the industries in Taiwan started to develop? Actually, in the 70s to 90s, at that time, we focused on electronics. We were making engines and also VCs like Datong, Dongyuan, Shilin. Those were really popular industries. They focused on hardware components. However, from the 90s to the early 2020s is the era of computers. So Taiwan moved its direction to PC and smartphones. However, starting 2010, now that we have AIoT and 5G, we are entering a new era. Now, looking at now, if we look forward 30 years ahead to even farther, what will the era be? So in China, saying that every 30 years we will have a big shift. However, for Datong, as we have more than 100 years of history, I think 30 years later, we will be on another stage under the spotlight. That's my aspiration, my expectation for Datong. So it's my honor to be here with you. So now I would like to share with you a 1.5-minute video. I would say Datong is a part of our collective memory of a generation. So people want Datong to stay, but as you know, in the past few years, there were some challenges, you can say storms. But without those challenges, I wouldn't be here on the stage representing Datong. I think Datong is really part of collective Taiwanese identity, so we should support it. In the past, Datong was making VC and also transmitter, electronic meter, etc. So all these components in the electricity supply, the utility industry. I mean, without these components, how can we develop industry? So I would say Datong really a big contributor to the industry. And in the past few years, we have dedicated in the development of green energy. Solar energy, we already have 200 megawatts that's available to the market. Also, we are stabilizing the electricity pressure for Thai power. Also, we are also developing the micro electricity network so that in the future we can support remote areas and also Southeast Asian countries for micro network that they can have hydropower development, etc. And now Datong is stepping into EV industry, and I would like to share with you, as this is really a popular topic nowadays, what are the advantages of Taiwan in EV. And for ICT, Taiwan is a well-known, widely recognized name around the world. How about EV? Well, for me, I think there's great opportunity, but there's also great challenges. So what are the differences? In the past, we are good at semiconductor and also computers, and one Foxconn can manufacture hundreds of millions of PCs, but can we really manufacture hundreds of millions of electric cars? Electric cars, EVs, they are heavy. They are a big chunk of weight. So you also think about it. To make an engine, it takes a lot of time. So we can have high expectations, but we have to stay cautious. This is my expectation. This is my interpretation of so-called entering the EV era. So we have high expectations, but we have to stay cautious. with my preceding speakers in morning session, I think I'm going to, I would just make the best use of my time. Here, I would like to share with you the business landscape of Datong. In the past 50 years, if you look at the Taiwan Power, the power transmitter in the power plant is 25 kV, and then before it's delivered to your house, it should become 110 kV. And in the industrial park, the pressure would have to be, the voltage will have to be lowered. So that's facilitated by Datong, and we have a lot of components here. And here, also in Datong, we manufacture lots of cables transmitting electricity from South Taiwan to North Taiwan. We have a lot of reactors. And from last year up to now, we have manufactured more than 200 million smart meters. And most of them, they are mechanical, and some of them are smart meters. And they have been exported to Japan and Southeastern Asia and also Malaysia. So, of course, the magic pot, that's really iconic product of Datong. We manufacture 400,000 magic pots, and of course, about 10% of these magic pots are exported to other markets. And all the magic pots, I mean, if you calculate them all, they are higher than more than 1,300 101 buildings. That's as much as we can do. And now, as people are talking about ESG, in our companies, if you look at our carbon footprint, we have 4.2 tons of carbon print. But if you look at solar power, actually, we can reduce as much as 120,000 tons. That means we already neutralize our carbon emission in Datong Group. In the future, we will have a green energy transaction platform, and we will be supplying our green energy to RNA 100. So this is green energy, and in industrial collaboration with the academias, I think there's great challenge when it comes to EV industry development, especially talent pool. In the past decade or two, most of the top talents went to the ICT or semiconductor. And now those people who are designing engine or reactors, etc., most of them, these experienced people, they're in their 50s and 60s. We are running short of young talent. So this will be a big challenge that we do not have enough talent to support our plants. So we need to work with colleges, universities, to attract more young talents into this industry. And of course, we want to be altruistic and a happy company that attracts more talents. And in Datong, in the future, if we want to be a player in EV, we need to change. Since 1949, we have been manufacturing engines. We have manufactured more than 13 million of different engines, big and small. So I would say Datong is the best and most experienced engine maker in Taiwan. Speaking of EV, starting in 2006, at that time we used sensory engine, and we made 80 VDC battery engine for a U.S. company. Also, we participated with the Bureau of Industrial Development. We manufacture a 35 kL engine. So actually, we have more than 15 years of engine manufacturing. So now we are running short of, we are missing inverters, so to speak. Because in the past, even though we can manufacture other components, most inverters came from Europe. And we work with TAITRA. That was in 2018. As you have heard about IGBT, silicon carbide, And we are doing inverter and actually a driver so that we can complete the setup, the design of an electric engine. So on the left, these are our products. And as you can see, we have a engine without going through gearbox. So what is the role we play here? Actually, we already have 250 kW. That's for bus, and we are developing 330 kW. That's for a intercity bus. And also, we are developing 150 kW. That's for business car. We know we are not capable yet of making electric vehicle, but we are good at making these engines. So we can be as good at a powertrain supplier in Taiwan. That's what we can manage and master. So in Taiwan, the government is developing this area, and we are in it. And of course, in the future, we do not exclude the possibility from JV or investment that we can be part of the design of electric vehicle. But Datong will not be a maker of electric vehicle. Let's leave the opportunity to Foxconn, so to speak. So for the powertrain, now that we have been verified by ARTC and everything, I mean, our products are certified, validated, and we are recognized by the the MIT Taiwan Award, and we have benchmarked our product with other companies. And if you look at performance and efficiency, actually we're no less than those made in other country products. Datong focus in Taiwan market. We are accumulating experiences. However, this is a small market. By 2030, in Taiwan we have about 16,000 electric buses, but around the world there are many more. So our goal here is that we start local, but we want to be global. So this is the DMIT project we are already in. So one of it is the driver propeller. And also, if you look at the engine, the challenges are how to make them smaller, lighter, less noise, also less vibration. There are great challenges here. And we are working with National Cheng Kung University, their engine center. We are working with them. We're working with the college and university so that we can continue the progress and refinement of these engines.
So we are rooted in Taiwan. We are also identifying the global opportunities for us to export our cars and buses to the world. But there are, of course, a lot of challenges in the future. That's all my talk. Thank you. Mr. Ho, thank you for your presentation. This morning, we have listened to great talks from the distinguished guests. And we also want us to have a conversation and a panel. And as we are seeing the increasing demands and technology developments, and e-mobility is changing and revolutionizing the whole industries. We are seeing traditional companies, technology companies, business leaders, and startups are moving into this field, and they are creating different innovations and opportunities for future smart mobility, from technologies, infotainment systems, power management systems to alliance. We are seeing a lot of changes over the years within the industry, and this changes have already transformed the information industries, and also is another opportunity for Taiwan to put itself onto the global map. So how do we balance between technology developments and new opportunity is an important and critical discussions for us in Taiwan. I think that we would like to invite our panelists and our guests back to the stage for panel discussions. First of all, that welcomes our first speaker, Mr. Jack Chen, and also Mr. Zheng from ARM Taiwan, and also from ST Microelectronics, Giuseppe Gizzo, Mr. Elver from Siemens Taiwan. We also have Mr. Ho, and this session will be moderated by Mr. James Huang. So let's give them a round of applause for the panel discussion. Thank you, our speakers and our participations. And due to time constraints, and we hope to ask a critical question to each of the panelists here. So first of all, I would like to start with Jack Chen from MIH Consortium. And people are very excited about MIH. And we look forward to your developments and how MIH can support local industries in Taiwan to penetrate into global markets. So my question to you is that when we are expanding to the world, many traditional auto companies, startups are all developing in this field, as well as some high technology companies. As one of the key rays within the international industries. All these companies may be your competitors or your collaborators. What is your strategies for you to expand globally? I think that MIH is an open platform. We have founded members like Foxconn. There are also technology companies that is involved, like Siemens, ARMS, Microsoft. And there are also hardware manufacturers like Datong or ST Microelectronics. So there are customers, and some of them are producing solutions as well. We are now seeing some supply chains technologies, and currently the supply chain is a pyramid, but we hope to have a flat organizations. Because of this alliance and this consortium, we hope that when we are developing the next generation solutions, we can concentrate the technologies. We don't have to reinvent wheel, and we don't have to duplicate. And I hope to invite more automakers into the consortium as well. And we also want to include tech companies into the process. And we are seeing a lot of emerging technologies. They are looking for developers as well. I think that each company will be different, but we can also see the common factor. So besides competition, I think that everyone can collaborate as well. So we can find our common objective and move toward the common goal. This is an important opportunity to people in Taiwan, and it is important to build big companies and startups. And we hope to definitely include the international investments and capital into the process. So MIH now have more than 2,000 members. Will you continue to expand the alliance? And also within the alliance, how would you integrate all the capabilities? Of course, that we will expand our alliance. It is surprising to me that when we have the first offline meetings in March this year, we already got 1,000 members. By June, we have 1,800 members already. It shows that how eager people are to know about this industry. And it's an evolving market, of course. As we expand to 2,000 or even more members, I think, as I have said before, the working groups are very important. Now we have close to 20 working groups, and they will talk about the specific issues within the groups and what solutions they can provide. Now we are working with Siemens as well. I know that we are now in discussion with Datone and ST Microelectronics as well. Of course, we hope we can expand the range, not just in Taiwan. 30% of our members are already global companies, and 20% of our members are in software business. So we are looking for the common grounds, and we're looking for the overlap interest so we can develop together. We just listened to CK's presentation, and you focus a lot on the software-defined vehicles. And that's some of the drawbacks within Taiwan. We are more experienced in hardware. And in the future, the e-mobilities will be integrating hardware and software. And we are seeing, as you said, software-defined vehicles. And the software will define and influence the whole architecture. This will be very important. And you mentioned about the SOFI architecture. So what would be your suggestions to our companies here in Taiwan, as many of them were hardware manufacturers? How do they shift to a software-defined future? Thank you for your question. Now the auto industry is in a turning point. And we are seeing increasing competition. MIHH has more than 2,000 members now, and people are very interested in this disruptive innovations. In SOFI, we discuss with different automakers. When automakers are developing their vehicles, it takes them a lot of time. And they are using very traditional methodologies in productions and development. Like Ford, they have more than 100 years of histories. There are a lot of legacy within these companies. But now we are standing at a tipping point. You have to change yourself and reinvent yourself, and to redefine the manufacturing technology. When you change, there are opportunities. These opportunities are available to both traditional players, established players, or startups. It can apply to all the industry players here. So that's why ARM proposed this initiative. And surprisingly, we received great feedback from MIH and AD-Link, etc., etc. And they told us that this is exactly what they need. Of course, it's an important investment to ARM because we want to build an open architecture. We will need to transform our efforts into open source. However, to software developers or small and medium-sized enterprises, they can utilize all these open source architectures and build on top of it. And as I mentioned before, there will be a lot of opportunity in the future, such as ADAS upgrades. And this opportunity has huge potential to everyone in Taiwan. So for companies in Taiwan, you need to be imaginative. You have to envision what the future mobility will be in 2035 and how do you prepare yourself for it starting from now. We're always seeing customer designs in the next 3 to 5 years. So what you are seeing now are developed over the past 3 to 5 months. So we want to build on top of these foundations. So our companies in Taiwan can invest in the right place and at the right time. So whether you are in the OEM or ODM's developments, you can also think about your futures. So you have to be imaginative, and you also need to be brave in your future developments. The Foxconn example is an obvious one. So the open architecture is actually helping your market developments because you are going to work with a lot of new developers and you will benefit from it. Thank you. And this is important to the local players.
I'm going to ask you about chip shortages. I'm sure you have been asked million times.
Yes.
But STMicron has global operation, and you know every country well, and you have lived in Taiwan for many, many years,
Yes.
and we actually consider you as a Taiwanese.
Yes. Yes.
So first is what would be you know the industry well, you know the country well. What would be your advice to our industry and our companies who are eager to join the race for EV in the future? And secondly, in your presentation, you mentioned about the SiC technologies to support fast charging. And that would be very crucial in the upcoming EV era. So if you can elaborate a little bit more. So two questions.
Thank you, James. And the way I see, Taiwan traditionally has not been in a car business. Does not have a relevant global car brand. Okay? But the transition to electric, connected, autonomous brings a lot of new opportunities for a lot of Taiwanese companies. It is relatively strange to me, because I have been around, as you said. In Taiwan, there are more than 1,000 companies, more than 1,000, operating in the automotive domain. Okay? And these are the traditional companies operating in the automotive domain since the Japanese time. Right? And there are new companies now making a venture into this transition. They may come from the computing domain, or they may come from the connectivity domain, or from the power energy transformation domain. Okay? So all these companies can give a major contribution to what happens now in the world. And what is happening, in my point of view, is the following. Okay? In transition to electrification, we have the old companies trying to make new cars, but in the old way. Right? So if you see the European brands or American brands, they still make the same car, maybe with an electric powertrain and an electrification of an old car. Then we see new companies in this domain. Tesla is a new company. BYD in China is a new company. NIO is a new company. Therefore, you have the traditional car companies, you have the new car company, and now we have the new platforms like MIH. It's an alliance, it's an open system. Right? So this is let's say, the transition and the paradigm shift happening in the car industry. And no matter how the shift is, all will need parts from Taiwanese companies, in my view. Right? So the Taiwanese companies, as I said, there are more than 1,000, and new startups are starting up in this domain. So if, as MIH does, we go towards open systems, there will be a lot of new opportunities. Because car companies, they are closed systems. It's always the same story, open versus closed. And the new alliances bring a lot of new opportunities, especially for young people. And I believe in this domain, Taiwan can play a major role. It's the old time of a car company doing everything by herself is over. Yesterday I was talking with a friend of mine who is the new head of Ferrari, okay? So Ferrari does even the screws in-house, okay? So it's very difficult to envision for the future companies that can do everything by themselves. Therefore, we must go towards the open systems. And personally, I welcome the initiative of open systems very much. I believe this will be the new opportunity for both for companies and for young people that want to be part of these new systems. Then about the silicon carbide, the silicon carbide is a new generation of semiconductors. It's the first element of a new generation of semiconductors, together with gallium nitride, and maybe along the time we may have other compounds that are being under experiments. It comes with the possibility of improving efficiency. When we talk about electrification, the efficiency is a key word. We want to drive longer, we want to make products lighter, and therefore the new materials are necessarily needed and vitally important. So silicon carbide is one of these things that helps make more efficient systems faster, So when we come, especially about charging stations, about energy, the energy topic in a car platform, we have to take into account always the simple formula that the charging time is given by the capacity of the battery divided by the charging capacity, right? So typically the battery charging capacity is fixed, okay, it's 100 kilowatt hour. And then the higher you do the charging station, the higher power you put in the charging station, the lower time you spend to charge the car, the battery itself. So the silicon carbide comes with that promise, that prospect of helping improve this ratio between the capacity and the charging battery capacity and charging capacity. Okay, so I don't see when we talk about charging stations, that is another element of leadership potentially from Taiwan. I believe the silicon carbide, gallium nitride have been used for a long time, and so they are elements that help the efficiency of the system themselves, help bring more power to the car. So these are the situations. Okay.
Thank you so much. And Mr. Over, Siemens has been a partner of Taiwan for many, many years, and we are very grateful for that.
Thank you.
And from my personal view, I do believe that Taiwan is an ideal POC site when it comes to smart mobility, because the country is not big. However, we do have very mature metro systems, highway, and high-speed rail system. So you can actually find models of long-range mobility, intermediate range mobility, and short-range mobility. And actually, we could integrate all different models into a smart mobility system within the country. So Siemens has been working with our central government, local government, and many of our companies in developing new concept of mobility. So what do you think? How can we better promote our concept of mobility in Taiwan, and perhaps it can become a successful model for the world?
Okay. Thank you for your nice words, and indeed, we are glad to be here and work with different municipalities, but also ministries to support the transportation sector, also we call it now mobility sector, in different areas. And as you have said, there are a lot of potentials, especially if we see the transformation which the mobility sector is now going through, what I have just mentioned in my speech. And as you said, we have already started working in different areas. For example, in Danhai, we have worked with the local municipality and implemented a system to support autonomous driving. This is a system where we are implementing different sensors using the 5G technology, which will also help the different industries, including the mobility sector, to have new kind of solutions. So again, connecting the different elements in the traffic system using sensors, 5G, and providing, again, solutions to build up an autonomous driving system. So that is something what we did in Danhai, and this is a kind of first project also utilizing this technology with the 5G technology. And of course, we wish to continue to bring in more of our, let's say, experiences and technologies into Taiwan. I have just shared a couple of examples from the ITS sector, Intelligent Traffic System sector, and there are many areas which we could work together, especially in the traffic management system. I have also shared with you the charging solutions, especially for electric buses. I do believe this will be a very important topic, and here also my colleagues are working with different municipalities and elaborating the chances, and also with the local partners. Again, those things are already done nicely in cooperation with local partners. Also, we are talking now about building an ecosystems of different partners. Okay, and there are areas now. If I might give you an example, what we could do, especially if I see the cities, especially the 6 big cities, and sometimes the traffic congestion is something which we can really look at, especially the air pollution which is caused through the traffic. Allow me to share with you an example what we did in London. We have implemented in a central business district area in central London a solution which we are calling ultra low emission zone, implementing sensors, cameras, using AI technology to detect cars and their plates, and implementing a system where cars with all technology with high emissions should not enter into different sections or into different sectors in cities. And this is again managed by digital technologies. And if cars doesn't follow the rules, they of course have to pay what we call some congestion charging, respectively getting certain penalties. And I have learned from my colleagues and also in the reports that through implementing such a system using digital technologies, sensors, recognition algorithms, AI algorithms, indeed the air quality has been increased, around 36% reduction of CO2 emissions. And this is, of course, helping to increase the quality of life in cities, at the same time reducing the CO2 emissions. Just to share with you an example what we could do, also to help Taiwan cities to become more cleaner.
Oh, thank you so much. Right, now, last but not least, Jenny.
Okay.
刚才有
So, Mr. Ho, I heard from your presentation there were lots of genuine, sincere comments. So in the future, as we enter the EV era, yes, indeed, there are challenges ahead. So what are your observations? Actually, in the past 3 decades, we are very good at making computers and then semiconductors. Our manufacturing base are mostly in China, and the brain drain is from Taiwan to China. And really, I have to say, our policies have been tilted. We are leaning toward the semiconductor and PC industry. So if we want to develop EV, that means our government has to be dedicated enough. We need to have a commitment into this. In the past, as we have been so developed and mature in semiconductor electronics, a lot of resources have been consumed, actually fixed in these domains. So we need to establish a dedicated authority, for the development of engine, cabling, and also battery making in Taiwan, and also some traditional mechanics. Those were deemed as traditional industries in the past 3 decades. I would say this traditional mechanics industry, they have been running short of talent and also financial resources. If you look at the EPS and compare to the ICT, actually these traditional mechanic companies, their P ratio, there's a huge gap. That means in our society, we are still evaluating the competitiveness of these traditional mechanics industry. However, personally, I think I have no doubt that this traditional mechanics can play a key role in the future because Taiwan has been so powerful in manufacturing. It's just we need to change the manufacturing base from China to Taiwan.
In the future, of course, it is impossible for us to manufacture all the things in Taiwan and then export the whole car to the world. I think in the future, we will manufacture the key components and the assembly will happen in Southeast Asia, America, or in Europe. And so we have to work with local partners. So it depends on how we can build partnerships. And we have these partnerships in the PC industry in the past. And we also need to think about our mechanical and assembly partners in different parts of the world. And in Datong, we only have branch in Japan, United States, and Thailand. So our global footprint is limited. If we want to target the global markets, we do have to think about our strategy, that expansions around the world. It has to be very strategic. And last but not the least, I want to talk about the talent and the future workforce. And when I visit those universities, they are now learning about computer designs, they are learning about semiconductors, but they don't focus on mechanics or mechanical components anymore. For example, they don't learn about motors anymore. I think that's something we have to pay attention to, that they are not understanding those fundamental aspects. Of course, that startups have a lot of ideas regarding to smart applications and smart scenarios, and these can come from startups. And I think these startups can work with legacy, and they can work together like MIH. You can pair them up together. So for legacy company or established company, they can transform themselves. They can also reinvent themselves faster, and that's my suggestion.
Thank all distinguished speakers for their very constructive input and insights this morning, and I believe this is a very exciting moment, and you share a lot of your insights, and I'm sure our audience will be very much inspired by your presentation and your insight. Thank you again. 好，我们谢谢各位贵宾。好，今天。
So thank you everyone. And this concludes our panel discussions in the afternoons. We also have great panels and great talk. So we hope to see you again in the afternoon. Thank you. Thank you, our panelists. And thank you everyone for participating in 2035 E-Mobility Taiwan's forums in the morning. And we conclude our morning session now. I hope you can help us to fill out our questionnaires and surveys. And after completing the surveys, we will send you the presentations by our speakers, and our sessions will resume at 2 o'clock in the afternoons. So thank you for your participations. Please fill out the questionnaires. After completing the questionnaires, you will be able to receive the presentations from our speakers. And our sessions in the afternoons will resume at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Please return your interpretation headset to the counter. And please remember to take your personal belongings with you. Our events will start at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
2点准时开始。